The painting bore a striking resemblance to Carlotta.
The Duchess Charlotte von Uberwald, née Leopoldine. My predecessor, in a sense.
Oh, are you a duchess?
No, but the resemblance is impressive, isn't it? My husband was struck by it from the moment I met him.
Where is your husband?
Dear Ulrich passed away during a civil uprising in Uberwald several years ago. Quite a terrible business, actually. Peasants, pitchforks, burning torches, the usual sort of thing.
Usual?
For Uberwald, certainly. Their ways may seem barbaric, but it's just the way things have always been done. If there wasn't a civil uprising every few years, I do believe the nobility would be most disappointed. Dying at the hands of a mob in a burning castle is practically traditional.
Tradition important to you, is it?
Ever the investigator, eh, Luton? Even your employer isn't beyond suspicion.
My old boss used to say that everyone was guilty of something.
And what are you guilty of?
Too many things, sweetie, but nothing you need to know about. So what's the story with you and Ulrich?
Do you believe in love at first sight, Luton?
It saves a lot of time, certainly.
Ulrich fell for me the moment we met. I guess seeing that painting every day probably helped.
Don't sell yourself short. You have a few assets of your own. I'm sure it was an equitable transaction.
You think I married him for his money?
Did you?
Let me tell you something, Luton. I've been rich and I've been poor. Rich is better.
Did you love him?
Does it matter?
It matters to me.
Maybe I did. I guess it depends on what love is.
Love is a moment of weakness that allows someone to hurt you more than you ever thought possible. Men were given the strength to be brutes to women, and women were given love to wreak their revenge.
Who was she, Luton?
Who?
The one who left you with such a high opinion of women. She must have been quite a gal.
You wanted to know how the case was going.
A girl's got to have hobbies.
I think I'm getting somewhere.
We're all getting somewhere, Luton. The question is, am I going to like where you're going?
I guess we'll just have to find that out the old-fashioned way.
That's me, an old-fashioned girl.
Like the girl in the picture.
The Duchess? She was quite a trendsetter in her era. She wore her dress so high, you could almost see her ankles.
My heart is pounding at the thought. I don't have much to tell you about the case, I'm afraid.
You still haven't found Mundy?
Not yet. I might do a better job if I had more money at my disposal.
Ah, yes, of course. You haven't been paid yet.
Well, it had crossed my mind.
I'm sure I could sort something out.
I didn't doubt that she could. The question was, would she? And more to the point, when would she? What can you tell me about the Duchess?
The Duchess Charlotte von Uberwald. Born Charlotte Ameliorati Victoire Tangerine Leopoldine. She married the Duke when she was 13, which was the style at the time. She was considered a risque dilettante by most of the nobility of Uberwald, and rumors abounded that she caused the heart attack that killed the Marquis of Grand Mal when she showed him her naked knees. Her corset was said to be so tight that her first pregnancy went into extra time, and her first and only son had learned his first word by the time he was born.
You're pretty good on this family history business, then.
I dabble.
Tell me again about Mundy.
What's to tell? I've told you all you need to know.
Do you know anything about the Milka?
Let's try not to get too sidetracked, Luton.
I wasn't about to ask Carlotta about herself. Has there been a dwarf around asking questions?
Let's try not to get...
Do you know a big, dumb troll called Malachite?
I thought all trolls were big and dumb.
This one pushes new boundaries. Do you know him or not?
No, I don't.
Do you know anyone named Therma?
Sorry, Luton. I've never heard of them.
Do you know a woman named Ilsa or a man named Two-Conkers?
Be careful, Luton. I don't appreciate...
Have you heard of a dwarf who goes by the name of Al-Khali?
No, I haven't.
Never mind. It was a long shot. You wouldn't have anything to do with the recent murders.
Why, Mr. Luton, you must think the worst of me.
I think the worst of everyone. That's my job.
Do you think Mundy could have been murdered?
Anyone could be murdered, but speculation is cheap.
And you're not?
I'm not cheap. I'm a bargain. Have you heard of a singer named Madame Lodestone?
Sorry, Luton.
I need your help.
I'm not hard to get, Luton. All you have to do is ask.
I need your knowledge. I need to find a particular tomb in the Salaci Mausoleum, but I don't know enough about genealogy. You do.
The Selaci Mausoleum? That could be trouble.
Don't worry. I'm not going to mess with the tombs. I know better than to offend a family whose ties with the Assassin's Guild go back to its very foundation. I just want to see if someone's buried there.
Who's the stiff?
A troll named Therma.
A dead troll? You don't get much stiffer than that, I suppose.
Will you help me or not?
Of course, although I'm not really properly dressed for a mausoleum. You don't mind waiting while I get changed?
It's not like Therma's going anywhere.
If Sarah is not too busy, the master of the house wishes a word with you.
And if I am too busy?
The master of the house still wishes a word with you, and I shall be forced to beg.
That sounds like it could be fun.
Did I say beg, sir? I meant resort to violence.
In which case, lead the way.
Mr. Luton, as I understand it, my daughter-in-law has retained you to investigate a certain matter for her.
That's correct.
Then I take it you will be a frequent visitor to my house.
It seems likely.
Do you know who I am?
I know that they call you the Count.
Do you know why they call me the Count? Because I am a Count. Count Henning von Uberwald. One of the Blintz von Uberwalds, I ought to add, because frankly, Uberwald had an uncountable number of counts. And I'm trapped in Ankh-Morpork at the moment because my current infirmity prohibits me from leaving this room.
That doesn't explain why you wanted to see me.
I wish to know what my daughter-in-law has you investigating.
That's between me and her.
No, Mr. Hilton. I rather suspect it isn't. You see, Carlotta's hands are not on the von Uberwald purse strings, but mine are.
So you're saying I won't get paid unless I tell you what I'm doing?
No, I'm implying that. Whether or not you actually get paid is a different issue.
What's it to you?
I get very bored. I'm interested as to what goes on around me.
All right. I'm tracking someone for her.
Someone who is missing?
That's right. A man named Mundy.
Oh, I see. Very well. If you keep me informed on the progress of the case periodically, I will ensure that you receive payment.
You said you have to stay in the conservatory. Why?
I'm not a well man, Mr. Luton. It is hard to say how long I have for this world, or indeed if the next world will take me.
What's so special about the conservatory?
Ankh-Morpork is too hot and humid for my tastes. I had the conservatory built especially. It's colder than the rest of the house. I keep it at the temperature I feel most comfortable with.
Why so cold?
You ask too many questions.
I'm an investigator. It's my job.
Well, be thankful that I find your impertinence charming, or else I might be forced to teach you a lesson.
In your condition?
You would be surprised at just what I can do in my condition, Mr. Luton.
So if I keep you informed on how the Mundy case is going, you'll ensure that I get paid?
As much as it is in my power to do so, yes.
And what if I mention this to Carlotta? Maybe she's got the money from other sources and doesn't need the family money.
A possibility. Very well. I'll offer to pay you irrespective of whether Carlotta pays you herself.
That seems a little unethical. I'd be betraying the trust of a client.
I'll pay you twice your usual fees.
Well, what do you know? Suddenly I've resolved all my ethical dilemmas.
Ethics are a salve for the poor, Luton.
I am the poor.
You sound as if you are proud of the fact.
The poor are often prouder than the rich. They know that what they have can't be taken away.
Why would anyone want to take their poverty away?
I didn't say the poor were smart. I said they were proud. So the von Uberwalds are wealthy, then?
Not compared to some, but we have more than enough to look after our own.
Is Carlotta one of your own?
When she married into us, she became a part of us.
You sound like you don't approve.
My opinions of Carlotta are not the issue. Traditions and ties of blood are stronger than opinions.
But there is no tie of blood between you and Carlotta. She married into the clan.
Mr. Luton, there are ties of blood between all the von Uberwalds. In Uberwald, blood is very important.
What can you tell me about Monday?
I'm afraid I can tell you nothing, but I would be interested in what you have to say about Monday.
Carlotta says he's an ex-lover and she suspects him of cheating on her.
And you believed her?
Whether I believe her or not is immaterial. Do you know anything about the Milka?
I'm sorry, but
Tell me about Carlotta.
I find it impertinent that you should ask questions so boldly of me.
You'll live.
It is fortunate that I find your manner amusing.
I guess this must be my lucky day.
Very well. Carlotta became a member of the family by marrying my son Ulrich, who is no longer with us.
I'm sorry.
Yes, he returned to Uberwald several years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was dead.
Oh, he is. And, alas, Carlotta is now part of my family, and I have a duty to protect her.
Why do you dislike her so much?
It is not something you should trouble yourself with.
Has there been a dwarf around asking questions?
I'm sorry.
Do you know a big, dumb troll who goes by the name of Malachite?
Malachite. There's a name I have not heard in many years. Yes, I know of him.
How?
As it happens, he broke into this mansion several years ago and stole several valuable heirlooms that were never recovered. Incredibly, the City Watch was able to catch him before the Thieves Guild did, and he was imprisoned.
For some reason, I decided not to tell the Count that Malachite had escaped. I had a feeling the troll could still be useful to me. Maybe as a rockery one day. Do you know anyone named Therma?
These days, the only people I know...
Do you know a woman named Ilsa or a man named Two-Conkers?
These days...
What do you know about a dwarf named Al-Kali?
These days...
Do you know anything about the recent murders?
There are always murders in Uberwald. I don't see why these should be any different.
I was talking about the murders here in Ankh-Morpork.
Mr. Luton, I couldn't be less interested in the petty crimes of this wretched city.
Have you heard of a singer named Madame Lodestone?
These days...
Do you know the Salaci mausoleum at all?
I'm aware of it. The Selaci family and the von Uberwalds do occasionally mix in polite society.
By polite society, you mean high society.
Well, certainly out of your reach.
Is there any chance you could show me around it?
Mr. Luton, there is little chance that I will leave this room for you or anyone else, let alone travel halfway across town to give you a guided tour of a mausoleum. Also, I confess, it would bring back happy memories of when I was dating.
You took your dates to a mausoleum?
Sometimes. Sometimes my dates lived in mausoleums.
You dated the dead?
No, the undead. They can be terrible bores sometimes, but most vampires are terribly well bred.
So you're a count?
I am the Count, yes.
What's it like?
It's fine. Although one does get the occasional burning desire to tear out the throat of people who ask too many questions. Do I have to draw you a picture?
Can you read this?
I'm sorry.
Does this mean anything to you?
I'm
Carlotta sent me an invitation card.
My, what a fascinating thing to insert into an otherwise interesting conversation. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to glare at you until you change the subject.
I'll be back later.
I look forward to it.